How can I control ants? These famous workers benefit the garden by aerating the soil with their tunnels and decomposing woody materials. Did you know that ants are farmers too? But unfortunately, they also cause trouble for us when they farm aphids. Some types of ants farm aphids and whitefly by carrying them in their jaws and placing them on trees or plants so that the aphids or whiteflies will begin sucking the sweet juices from the plant. And some of the sugary nectar builds up around the insect's jaws, is the way the story goes, which is the ants' sweet harvest. So ants will come and get all this nectar that the aphids and the whitefly are sucking out of the plant's stem. So that's what they can do. In these situations, if the aphids happen to be on one of our favorite plants, we may decide to battle the ants for the plant's sake. Now this is, yeah, when we're getting our plants started and we're putting a lot of our energy into that, there will be times when we might want to have to do this. Oh, look at my buttons unbuttoned. Okay, so we're not trying to eliminate all the ants, but if you have a particular problem with ants farming aphids on a favorite plant, you may choose to stop them with these methods. Here are the 5 methods to stop ant invasions on your precious plants. Actually, there's 6 methods. I'm going to fix that right here. Okay, number 1, spray the ants with hot and spicy foliar spray. You can spray the ants with the hot and spicy foliar spray that you just learned about above. And diatomaceous earth. Ants can get up into trees or near the house. You can sprinkle the ground with diatomaceous earth, which is a white powder made up of ground up diatoms. That's why it's diatomaceous. Diatoms are little, like teeny tiny little sea urchin-y kind of things from the ocean. And when they grind those up, that's into a powder. It's kind of sharp, and it can cause insects to dry out and die by absorbing their insect oils and fats from the cuticle of the insect's exoskeleton. And in addition, the sharp edges are abrasive, speeding up the process. Ants are often busy in the summertime, but their populations lessen by late summer. And I noticed also you can just put some diatomaceous earth somewhere as a blockade, and the ants will not go past it. Okay, the next one, use orange peel on the trunks of trees. I have had great success by rubbing the outside of the orange rind, the outside orange colored part, on the trunk of a tree, all the way around the tree. And the ants were crawling on up and down the tree, but it completely stopped them from crawling up and down the tree. And I also made sure that no tree branches were touching the ground. So the trunk was the only pathway up into the tree's branches. Okay, here's another one, borax and sugar. You can combine borax and water and sugar into a little sort of soupy paste. And you can soak cotton balls in it and place them along your trail, and the ants will swarm the cotton balls and take the solution back to their colony. You could also leave a little bit in a shallow dish where they can just go get some of it and take it back to their colony. Everyone will share it, and in a couple of days, the ants will die from the effects of eating the borax. That's pretty mean, but okay, there we go. It works, and sometimes we need it to work. Okay, another thing, coffee grounds. Coffee drinkers have a secret weapon available, the spent coffee grounds left over after brewing a pot of coffee. Multiple sources report that putting coffee grounds on an anthill will eliminate ants from that area. And then I found this on combatbugs.com, which seems to be a very cool website. It says, what eats ants? The obvious answer to the question is the anteater. But did you know that there are numerous other creatures from many different animal groups that eat ants as a regular part of their diet? Although you might not want these other creatures around you any more than you want ants around, these other animals can come in handy when you are trying to deal with an ant infestation in or around your space. So here's a list of creatures that eat ants. It says you may not be aware that nearly every animal that eats insects and can fit an ant into its jaws eats ants. Here are some of the insects and small animals that eat ants on a regular basis. Other insects such as beetles, caterpillars, and flies. Spiders such as black widow spiders and jumping spiders. And I've seen ants get caught in all kinds of spider webs too. Snails and other hard-shelled organisms, snakes, fish, lizards. Lizards are great to have in the garden. Birds, such as sparrows, grouse, and starlings. Mammals, such as bears and coyotes, and certain types of fungal infections which have been documented to consume ants. Some animals have strange ways of eating ants that help them to survive and procreate. Some species of flies will lay their eggs on the bodies of ants, and then when their larvae are born, they will eat the ants around them. Spiders will often attract ants into their web and then spin them into little bite-sized morsels with their sticky weaponry. Bears will sometimes consume ants as a sweet treat when they discover a stash of wild honey. Even some humans have been known to eat ants. While they're too small to be a very good food source, they are high in protein, and some varieties, such as the lemon ant, which can be found in Ecuador or other countries in South America, are quite highly prized. And then to top it off, there are ants that eat ants. It might come as a surprise that one of the creatures that eats ants is, you guessed it, other ants. Fire ants are known to attack other fire ants, and army ants can thrive on eating the larvae of various other species of ants. If ants are at the top of your list of annoyances, it may help you to think about the fact that you are not the only one trying to get rid of them. Ants are a major food source for many small animals, which is one way that nature helps us deal with the peskiness of pests. Okay, so that was really fun. And that is just some good perspective on ants. You may have to control them if they're on a specific prized plant, and if they're near your house. But if they're just out in the garden doing things, you could pretty much leave them out there as they're a food source for everything else. And they are part of the perfectly balanced system.